Welcome back to the Learn How to Quickly Build Websites with WordPress. In today's lecture, we're going to look at domain names. And you probably remember from the session that we did previously on web architecture that you need a domain name that's going to resolve to the IP address because people aren't going to remember the IP address. So obviously, the domain name is how people are going to find you. And I think that's clear enough. But what you've also got to remember is that your domain name is going to be fundamental to your brand. If you're a small business owner or an entrepreneur or a blogger, you want to build up a brand. And often people are going to remember your domain name more than they're going to remember your actual company name or your personal name. So the domain name is fundamental for creating that brand. Now, .com is still the most popular. You've probably seen many other domains, with a .us extension, .biz, .co, .info, etc. And despite people advertising that they're all as good, .com is still the most popular. There's just no doubt about it. So if you can, I still recommend you find a .com domain name. It's a little tricky because a lot of the good names, or I'd say all the good names, are taken. But if you can get a little bit of creativity, you're still going to get some good .com domain names. If you have the budget, you can also go and look at the auctions where people are reselling domain names. And so you can certainly do that as an option, but you can expect to pay a pretty good sum of money for a really good .com domain name. So your best bet when starting out is to find a available .com. It's going to cost you about $9 to register. And even if you have to make some sacrifices to the way you phrase it just to get something that's available. But you'll see us, I'll show you, I'm going to go to a domain registrar and show you how you search for a domain and try and find one. .org is for non-profits. Now, originally when .org was kind of charted, it was meant only for non-profits. This has kind of been relaxed a little bit, or should I say it just isn't enforced. So you'll find a lot of entities using .org. I prefer still using .com. Certainly if you are doing commercial work, .org is often okay for blogging, etc. But for your small business, or if you are for profit, I would recommend you still go with a .com. .co is gaining popularity. You've got companies like Overstock.com, rebranding themselves to o.co. So you see some of the big names starting to use .co. In my opinion, it's not as popular, but it is gaining popularity, so it's certainly an option. .io is a very popular one for tech companies. So if you are representing a tech company or something in technology, .io is a very viable alternative. There's more availability on .io, and it's getting very popular. So I still avoid, the .biz, the .us, the .info. I don't think that they are really worth it at this point. Now, in terms of domain names as well, avoid using dash or hyphens in the domain name. For example, bug-exterminators-supreme.com. A couple of reasons why. One is that there was a time when Google used to give an advantage to exact match names. An exact match name would be, for example, if you're searching for carpet cleaning in New York, your domain name would be carpet-cleaning-in-new.york. The reason being is that, at that time, Google felt, well, if the domain name contains the words that people are searching on, then that website is probably very relevant. The problem is that started leading to a lot of spam, and you got these crazy domain names that were just trying to game the SEO system, and Google hates it when you try and game the SEO system. So the exact match name that used to have a little bit of an SEO advantage is now minimized, and there's even some theories that perhaps it's penalized. Probably not the case. Nonetheless, I would stay away from the hyphens. It tends to still scream that it's kind of spammy. And it's hard every time you're on the phone and you have to give the domain name and you have to tell the people where the hyphens are. And if they leave them out, they end up going to your competitor's site. So avoid those hyphens or dashes in the name. Then try to add filler words if your desired name is unavailable. For example, if you wanted forexprofit.com and it's unavailable, you might try something like allforexprofit.com. Or carpetcleaners.com, you might try yourcarpetcleaners.com. So you can certainly try these kind of filler words. Now, the reason as well that you want a name without these hyphens, for example, I mentioned that it's your brand. And what you want to do as a business is set up your email address. So it'll be your name at domainname.com. It looks very unprofessional when you're dealing with a small business and have a website, but the address is, johnsmith@gmail.com. You expect it to be jsmith@allforexprofit.com, etc. So you're going to be giving your email address to tons of people over the phone, and you don't want a long, lengthy domain name like this, Bug Exterminators. It's going to be too problematic to read that. So give your domain name some thought, and search for coupon codes when registering. You will be surprised how cheap you can get a domain name for. If you get lucky, you can get like a coupon that will bring the registration down to like $2-3, which is great. Most of the time, it's not expensive anyway for a .com. You're looking at about $9 to $12 generally to register a domain name, which you would then need to renew on a yearly basis. So with that said, let's go take a look at a couple of options for where you can go get a domain name.